the night after the vows. The last lanterns dimmed outside the ranch house as laughter drifted into the prairie night. Lila lingered on the threshold, listening as the celebration softened into memory. Her wedding dress brushed the floor, heavy with dust and joy. For the first time that day, there was no one watching, no expectations to meet. Only the quiet waiting on the other side of the door. Ethan closed the door gently behind them. The sound felt final in the best way. He did not rush toward her. Instead, he stood still, giving her space, giving her choice. The room glowed with lamplight, familiar yet transformed. Lila met his gaze and smiled, her nerves easing as she realized this night belonged to them alone. He reached for her hair, fingers careful as he loosened each pin. One by one, they fell into his palm. Lila exhaled with every release, the weight of the day lifting. Her hair spilled over her shoulders, and Ethan paused, awed by the intimacy of such a simple act. "You were beautiful today," he said softly. She turned to him. "I felt chosen." The word lingered between them, chosen not by necessity, but by will. Ethan cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek with tenderness that made her chest ache. Their kiss came slowly, deepening with trust rather than urgency. It held the promise of what they would become, not just what they desired. Lila rested her hands against his chest, grounding herself in the steady beat of his heart. The hearth glowed low as they moved closer, shedding layers of the day. Ethan's touch remained reverent, guided by care. Lila leaned into him, discovering that passion could be patient and patience could be powerful. They spoke quietly of fear, of hope, of the lives they had nearly lost before finding each other. Ethan listened without interrupting, holding her as if every truth she shared made her more precious. They settled beneath the quilt, laughter slipping in between whispered words. The bed no longer felt like a symbol of expectation, but of comfort. Lila rested her head against Ethan's shoulder, fitting there as if she always had. He said her name like a vow, slow and sure. She answered with his, the sound steadying her heart. In that exchange, something sacred took root. Lila realized then that safety could be intimate, that being seen and respected could awaken desire deeper than any rush. Ethan's presence was a harbor, not a storm. Later, they lay entwined, the room quiet but alive with warmth. The fire had burned low, embers glowing like a secret meant only for them. Ethan traced absent patterns along Lila's arm, his touch unhurried, as if time itself had softened its grip. Lila smiled, her cheek resting against his chest, listening to the calm rhythm of his breathing. In the hush that followed passion, she felt no urge to fill the silence. It held her gently, offering rest instead of questions. This closeness, this simple, unguarded nearness felt deeper than any promise spoken aloud. Ethan bent to press a kiss to her hair, then her temple, each one a quiet reassurance. She shifted closer, fitting herself to him instinctively, and he welcomed her without hesitation. The past, with all its sharp edges, felt distant now, no longer something that could reach them here. Lila closed her eyes, knowing with a certainty that settled deep in her bones that this was not a moment that would fade with the night. It would remain in the way he held her, in the way mornings would find them side by side, and in the steady choosing they would make again and again. Sleep came and went in gentle waves. Each time Lila stirred, Ethan was there, solid, present, unmistakably real. His hand rested at her back, grounding her, as if he were an anchor holding her safely in place. In the quiet hours before dawn, she understood that belonging was not a single promise or grand moment. It was this shared breath, steady warmth, the assurance of being met again and again, built softly, moment by moment. Moonlight spilled across the floor, silvering the edges of the room. Outside, the prairie rested under a wide scatter of stars, vast and unchanging. Inside, wrapped in warmth and quiet certainty, promises were already being kept, not spoken aloud, but lived in every breath they shared. The darkness began to thin at the edges, night loosening its hold as the first hint of morning approached. Lila stirred, aware of the quiet shift in the air. "Morning will come," she whispered, the words carrying both wonder and calm. Ethan tightened his hold just slightly, his lips brushing her hair. "And everyone after," he replied, not as reassurance, but as truth. She smiled, then, settling closer, knowing the promise did not belong only to dawn but to all the ordinary days waiting beyond it. As light touched the horizon, they slept in each other's arms. The vows spoken that morning had found their truest form, here not in ceremony, but in choice, tenderness, and a love they would keep day after day. Morning arrived quietly, as if the prairie itself wished to honor the peace they had found. Pale light slipped through the window, tracing the lines of the quilt and the curve of Lila's shoulder. She stirred, aware first of warmth, then of Ethan's arm around her, steady, familiar, real. For a moment, she simply breathed, listening to the ranch wake beyond the walls. A distant bird call, the soft rustle of wind through grass. This was not the anxious dawns of her past, where morning meant running or bracing herself for what might come. This dawn meant staying. Ethan kissed her temple, unhurried. "Good morning," he murmured, the words carrying more than greeting, they carried certainty. They rose together and stepped onto the porch, wrapped in the cool hush of early light. The land stretched wide before them, brushed gold by the sun, just beginning its climb. Lila slipped her hand into Ethan's, marveling at how natural it felt, how permanent. "This," she said softly, gesturing to the waking world, "feels like a promise." He smiled. "It's one we get to keep." They stood there until the sun fully claimed the sky, not speaking, not needing to. The night had given them intimacy. The morning gave them purpose. Ahead lay work, seasons, and the ordinary trials of life. Beneath it all was something unshakable. They turned back toward the house together, ready to begin, not as two people bound by vows alone, but as partners who had chosen love in the quiet and would keep choosing it with every dawn to come. Like and subscribe. Aurora Tale Wild West. God bless.